Let's get more now on the resignation of the Palestinian Authority Prime Minister in the West Bank with Nour Odeh, who is a political analyst. Thanks for coming on the programme. Now, these resignations, they were long anticipated. Where did the pressure come from?
Well, thank you for having me. I think this resignation in particular came because of outside pressure and not really answering to the overwhelming majority of Palestinians who want to see a fundamental change in the Palestinian political system and Palestinian governance that ensures not just a new government, but ensures reconciliation, unification of Palestinian institutions, and accountability to the Palestinians rather than to international actors, particularly the United States and other major donors of the Palestinian Authority. So there's a lot to unpack in this resignation that doesn't also come with any clarity as to what will happen next. Is this going to be a caretaker government for months until something is figured out? Will there be another government? And if so, what's the point if this government is just going to be appointed the same way the outgoing one was?
But did you think it does set the stage for a new government that could be involved in rebuilding Gaza?
I think the only way that it would is if we see real dialogue and if we see real change in the way inter-Palestinian dialogue happens. And at this moment, unfortunately, there are no signals that that is happening. The Americans are talking, they're trying to set the agenda. The Israelis have a whole list of no's that they want to impose on the Palestinians. And really the only ones that nobody's listening to is the Palestinian public. So we see this resignation, but Palestinians have yet to see their political factions sitting down, agreeing on a government, giving it enough mandate and power to be able to take on that mammoth task. We have to remember, rebuilding Gaza, when this war stops, will be an enormous challenge. Logistically, physically, financially, this is going to require a Marshall Plan of sorts. So the government needs to have international and regional backing. But first and foremost, in order for it to really function, especially in Gaza, it has to have Palestinian buy-in. And that is, I think, the missing link in all of this, these developments that we've seen so far.
So before we talk about the reforms that need to happen, we need to look at who's making these decisions, because what Israel wants, what the Palestinian Authority wants, what Hamas wants, what the United States wants are all very different. I mean, what form of leadership do you think will be approved?
Well, I think if we're going to see a formula that works for Palestinians and doesn't result in more internal strife, then it has to be a Palestinian formula. One that is solid, one that is inclusive, one that sees a government of competent professionals that are supported by all factions without exception. And if that kind of government is formulated, the rest of the world will have to deal with it. And quite frankly, I think one of the biggest mistakes Palestinians can do is to give Israel veto power over how they should move forward. Palestinians don't have any say in who rules over Israel. And right now, the Israeli government has a number of figures and ministers who are not just openly racist and anti-Palestinians, but who are calling for the annihilation of the Palestinian people, for the use of the atomic bomb on Gaza. So, you know, Israeli governance should be the business of the Israeli public, just as the Palestinian governance should be the business and the prerogative of the Palestinians. Ultimately, what really matters the most is all of that has to be an interim arrangement until agency can be given back to the Palestinians, and they can head to the ballot boxes when it's practically possible to choose who can lead them and in which direction. It shouldn't be up to Washington or any other outside capital to figure out what works best for them as far as Palestinians are concerned. That is a formula that has failed for the past 17 years. It has kept Palestinians divided and weakened for the past 17 years. And, you know, going back to it, reverting to it after this horrific war would be devastating for Palestinians.
Nour Odeh, thank you very much.